Why not sell Frenkie and keep Casado, guys? Hear me out. Hear me out. Let me start with this. The latest news about Barcelona: Jules Koundé has officially extended his contract until 2030, and it's going to be a team-friendly deal to clear up some cap space. I will give you guys the updates as soon as the details come out. And here's also what he said. I think everyone wished to return to the Camp Nou to be able to enjoy it with the fans. It's a very special stadium, and I also believe it affects our opponents because it's a historic ground and a unique stadium that can host a huge number of supporters. That's a leadership. That's a player embracing the history at this club, and I actually agree with him. I think it's very underrated that if you add in the atmosphere of the Camp Nou to this team, and specifically that would add a whole new dynamic. And unfortunately, right, we wish the Camp Nou was ready right now. That would add so much of an advantage to Barcelona that we don't have, and we forget that. The Real Madrid, for example, they have that atmosphere at the Bernabeu that always adds a little something to their game. So, but second of all, a very special day. Robert Lewandowski turns 37 today. What an incredible career. One of the greatest strikers of this generation, an absolute professional. I think, he chose to come to Barcelona when we were in chaos. I could not believe that when the news broke that Lewandowski was coming to Barcelona at a time that I didn't think we had the best squad. We have just gotten beaten down by Bayern Munich off Lewandowski. So that, to me, that I'll never forget that. And he didn't just, chase another glory hunter, another club. For that, we were always going to be really grateful. And culés, I think, were also every culé should be grateful of Lewandowski. Now, let's get into the story that I really matters and that I really want to talk about. I do have a hot take, okay? I'm just going to let it out. This is a hot take. I don't know how many of you are actually going to agree with me, but here's the latest twist of Barcelona, okay? Marc Casadó, the La Masia kid who literally bleeds Blaugrana, is being whispered to. Maybe you should go to Premier League. Maybe you should take this deal. There's no room for you here. It's kind of what I'm hearing some of the stories, okay? Hypothetically, I'm not confirming that is true, but I just want to play devil's advocate here. So he's being told that he's not going to play and that he should take these offers. And at the exact same time, Barcelona are preparing to resign Frenkie de Jong's new agent. I don't think that this is a coincidence. I actually think this is a pattern. Now, let's be clear. Frenkie is a fantastic footballer, okay? He's smooth on the ball, Champions League caliber, one of the best in the squad, and probably one of the best midfielders in the world when it comes to technical abilities. Nobody will deny his quality. And I think that the story also came out that Frenkie de Jong is Hansi Flick's favorite, one of Hansi Flick's favorite players at the club. So I'm not going to just sit here and say that he's not a great player, okay? I know a lot of people hate Frenkie de Jong, and I have been a defender on Frenkie. So, but here's the problem, right? He also one of the most expensive players in the squad. And, according to reports, the plan is to restructure his deal to give him a team-friendly deal. Friendly deal? No, that's just the code for, let's kick the can down the road again. This is going to be Ter Stegen 2023 all over again. We'll solve today's problem by creating tomorrow's crisis. And I just want everyone to know that when you hear, Frankie's team-friendly deal. So here's my hot take, okay? Why not sell Frenkie? Yes. Does it feel unfair? Yes. Are we talented? Yes, he's talented. Do we have the best double pivot combo in the world? Yes. Pedri and Frenkie are off the charts. But sometimes leadership means making a tough call. And you sell Frenkie, you get a big transfer fee. You clear up the space in the wage bill, and you keep Casado, a player who is cheaper, who is younger, hungrier. If there's a player who literally bleeds Blaugrana and actually wants to die for the badge, it's one Marc Casadó, man. The way that he was celebrating with fans on the street, man. Like, this kid loves the club. But let me give you a real life analysis, okay? This is like a company in debt. You don't fix the financial problems by keeping the executive with the biggest salary just because he's popular in the office. You cut the cost, you invest in young talent, and you build for the future. Barcelona have been run like a company that refuses to lay off its highest paid employees and then wonders why payroll keeps drawing them. And that's one of the main problems currently at the club, and we should be getting rid of all these bad contracts. Think about Casado, man. He's 20 years old. Premier League clubs are offering him triple his salary. Triple. And he still wants to stay. That's not normal. That's really not normal in modern football. I want you guys to understand that. This is loyalty. This is identity. This is what clubs have been missing for years. And we have that in Casado. If that doesn't scream love for the badge, I don't know what does. If you want to show someone what loving a club looks like, show them Marc Casadó in Barcelona, okay? Now, did I mention that Frenkie de Jong is one of the most expensive players in the squad? Get this. Casado is one of the cheapest employees at the club right now, one of the cheapest players with a whopping 1.5 million euros per season. And the fact that other clubs are offering 30 million euros and triple his salary, and he still wants to stay at the club. Come on, man. What are we thinking here? Now, let's talk football, okay? Casado can play the pivot. He's natural 5. We've seen him do it against Real Madrid. We see him pull up another masterclass against Bayern Munich in the Champions League when it matters most. And Frenkie, he can't. He's not a lone anchor. He needs Pedri next to him in the double pivot. He's a luxury player in that sense. Brilliant, but not essential in that role specifically. Casado fits the role. Casado fits the whole, man. And Casado costs peanuts compared to Frenkie. And you know what? I wouldn't even care if you want to keep Frenkie and say, you know what? Well, Frenkie is just so much better. Yes, Frenkie is a fantastic footballer. He's worth every penny for him. But when you're giving me another player who's literally not even making more than 2 million euros a year, the difference between Casado and Frenkie is probably this. But their pricings are like, it's really, really, really big difference between how much one player is making and how much Casado is making. So when you're giving me that context, I'm definitely going to take Casado, because Frenkie is not even that much better than Casado when it comes to playing at the 5, playing at the pivot. And in reality, that's really what suits Barcelona best, because guess what? Marc Bernal, and we're going to talk about him a little bit later in the video, but Casado just really fits the role. Casado fits the whole, like I said, and I think that we should consider just for 1 second to get rid of Frenkie de Jong instead. This is like a family, who's struggling financially. You've got one kid who wants to work a part-time job, save money, help out. That's Casado. And then you got another kid with expensive taste who says, don't worry, Dad. I'll just put it into the credit card again. That's Frenkie's new friendly contract. It's a credit card contract. We're going to kick the can down the road and pay him later. So to all of those people who want to still keep Frenkie, I just want to say one more thing. A lot of fans are criticizing Ter Stegen because of his salary currently. Well, that is going to be Frenkie de Jong in 2 to 3 years. We're going to sit there wondering, why did we give him this contract? Well, he's basically getting paid less right now to get paid more later. So that's exactly what these contracts are. And Barcelona loves handing out these contracts, man. And we never learn, because why are we going to give Frenkie de Jong the exact same contract that we gave Ter Stegen? So just want to warn everybody about that. Which one do you invest in? To me, it's obvious. It has to be Casado, man. Now, long term, yes, this is probably Marc Bernal's position. I agree 1000%. The kid is just too special. But he's coming off an injury, an ACL rather. That usually takes 2 years to get back 100%. You can't just throw him in and expect him to carry the team, especially at that position that is very, very important for this season specifically. Casado can bridge that gap. He can hold down until Marc Bernal is ready to take over. That's how you build responsibly. That's just how you transition smoothly from one player to another. And Casado, for those wages, he's the perfect bridge to wait for Marc Bernal next season. But instead, Barcelona's logic is this. Keep the expensive superstar with another restructured contract and shove out the kid who bleeds the badge. He bleeds for the badge. Everyone knows that. And costs you exactly next to nothing, brother. That's the one thing that really gets me. And that's not just bad business, That's really comedy. This is not just bad business. That's comedy. That's like selling your car to pay the gas bill and then wondering, why can't I get to work this morning? I don't understand, right? So, look. I get it. Frenkie is loved. Frankly, is quality. But leadership is not about keeping everybody happy. It's about making tough decisions. And some of them are painful today, but they are smart for tomorrow. This is the classic Real Madrid deal right here, right now. They love going and betting on the young talents for the future instead of overpaying the current players. Look what they did with Casemiro. I thought they were really going to struggle when Casemiro left. But Casemiro, they weren't going to pay him that kind of money. They let him go to Manchester United. And I thought they're really going to suffer for that. But they rather bet on the young talent, on the up and coming who are cheaper, rather than getting and overplaying the player currently. And if Real Madrid does that, if Barcelona really wants to solve their problems, maybe we should follow their blueprint. Sell Frenkie and keep Casado, because one represents the past and the other, if you're brave enough to trust them, represents the future.